Thank you very much. Building on points that Gerry made, Tom Paine is supposed to have said that a hereditary monarch makes no more sense than a hereditary dentist. I actually rather doubt whether he did, but it was in the Observer Leader last Sunday, so it must be true. Like a dentist, a head of state needs specialist skills. One is to pin medals on brave people. Another is to protect the state in times of grave emergency. The only possible defense of the hereditary principle for the head of state is that you know in advance who the monarch is and who the next one will be, so that you never have to elect one at times of crisis. The present Queen is a model constitutional monarch. So was her father, George VI. So was George II, Handel's monarch. Since Parliament chose the present dynasty in 1715, there have been 8 other UK monarchs. 3 of these, namely George IV, William IV, and Edward VIII, have been outright disasters. The other 5 have been so-so. George III went mad. Queen Victoria conspired against her liberal governments and in favour of her conservative governments. George V exacerbated the Ulster tragedy in 1913 and 1914. And I have evidence for these claims in a book I've just written on the British Constitution. And I'm not generally a vulgar Marxist, but I am a vulgar Marxist about this. The UK monarch belongs to a social class and has material interests, and you can read from the social class and material interests of Victoria and George V, also of Edward VIII and others, the sort of direction that their political interventions would take. At present, when a monarch seems to be intolerable, Parliament or the executive kicks him out. This last happened in 1936, but for the wrong reasons. Edward VIII was thrown out not because he was a Nazi sympathizer, but because he wanted to marry an American divorcee. If Parliament had not kicked him out, who knows what might have happened in World War II. But notice that one thing that would not have happened is that we would not have had the 2 model constitutional monarchs, George VI and Elizabeth, whom the monarchists depend on to make their case. Constitutional lawyers believe in parliamentary sovereignty. Legally, Parliament comprises 3 houses: monarch, lords, and commons. In which case, parliamentary sovereignty means that you and I are bound to obey 2 unelected bodies and 1 elected one. Why should anybody fall for that? The UK will not become a true democracy until the people choose all 3 houses of Parliament. Only then can they claim what the United States first claimed in 1787, that we, the people, make law. Tom Paine was right. So was Thomas Rainborough, who in 1647 told Cromwell's generals in Putney Church that the poorest he that is in England hath a life to live as the greatest he. And therefore truly, sir, I think it's clear that every man that is to live under a government must first by his own consent put himself under that government. I'm with Rainborough and Paine. If George Orwell were here, I'm confident that he would be too. Thank you.